Hey guys, what is up, and welcome back to the channel. So, obviously, if you're here, you're most likely a Steelers fan, so, sup. Otherwise, you can leave your team down in the comments below. But, I want to talk about the Steelers' schedule. Now, obviously, preseason, it really doesn't matter that much. That's the chance for the low-end guys to push, say, hey, I deserve to be on this team. And there are guys who they not only made the roster because of preseason, but they became either starters, maybe even stars in the league because they showed during the preseason, hey, I can play. So if you didn't know, you can see the Shazier jersey there, but that was a Mike Hilton signed jersey. Mike Hilton is now a cornerback for the Cincinnati Bengals. But he pretty much made his career in Pittsburgh playing corner and playing slot corner, doing it very, very well. Because he was pretty much the best blitzing corner or DB in the league. Maybe not DB because that includes safeties, but like the best blitzing corner in the league. He was tough, and yeah, he was only like 5'9", 5'10", but he was tough. And I saw him in preseason, and he started off with the number 40. And I'm watching the games, and 40's flying. He's flying around making plays. That was 4 years ago. He got 4 years in Pittsburgh, and then at that point, you're a unrestricted free agent. You can go sign wherever you want if the current team you're on doesn't sign you. So, guys can make teams, they can make names for themselves, they can become stars just based off preseason. But the preseason, it doesn't matter for your record. So we're going to skip that. Now, also, 17-game season this year. First time in NFL history. So, I'm going to predict. Now, it's July 31st. As of me recording this, you guys should be seeing this on August 1st, as long as I did my job right. So, while I'm going to talk about this, it's going to change, because I did mention the preseason. That's where some guys are going to emerge. And that's kind of like the odd thing about last year with the pandemic and COVID and all that, is that we didn't get a preseason. So, this will change based on who plays, injuries, if anyone emerges as a star. Because you never know. There's a guy on the Steelers named James Pierre. I liked him last year. He made the roster, undrafted, and I think he can do well. And then, say the Steelers' last draft pick of this draft, he was a punter, Presley Harvin III. He won the Ray Guy Award. It's given to the nation's best punter. So if he can beat out Jordan Berry, then he's the new punter. You see how stuff can work. So, I'll update it as stuff goes on, because injuries are going to happen not only to the Steelers, but to other teams as well. So, we'll update it. Don't take this to heart. So, they're going to go 17 and no, I'm not going to do that. So, week 1, Buffalo. And they are in Buffalo. Now, if tickets weren't almost $200 per, at lowest price, I'd consider going. This is nosebleeds, guys. I'd consider going. But they're $200 at least for nosebleeds. So I'm not going. And it sucks because last time the Steelers went to Buffalo, it was cold, snowy. I went because I was actually going to school in Buffalo at the time. And I went. I paid $100 and some odd dollars for my ticket. It was beautiful, corner end zone. Loved it. That's not this. So I'm gonna say at Buffalo, it's a loss. So right now you're starting 0-1. Then Vegas comes to Pittsburgh. And this is where the Steelers get their first win of the season. So right there, you're 1-1. Cincinnati, I mean, let's face it, out of Baltimore, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh, Cincinnati doesn't come close to any of those three. So it's going to be 2-1. At Green Bay. Now, this was a situation where it's like, hey, Aaron, you mind holding out till about week 5, maybe week 6? No, he's back at training camp. So, I think that this is going to be a very, very good game. Green Bay doesn't exactly have the best defense, so that's where the offense won't struggle as much, and the Steelers have a great pass rush. Bakhtiari, I know, is hurt. I'm hoping he won't be back by then. They lost Corey Linsley. They lost Balaga last year. So it's a little bit of a rebuilt offensive line, but so is Pittsburgh's. This is going to be a very, very good game. But because it's in Green Bay, I'm going to give Green Bay the win. So that makes it a record of 2-2. Now you're going to take on Denver and Pittsburgh. Drew Luck or Teddy Bridgewater, I have no idea. I can't remember where I read this, but it's basically whoever throws the least interceptions is going to be the starting quarterback. This is a dub. It is. So right now the Steelers are 3-2 through 5 weeks. Then you go on to face Seattle. This is the added game for the 17th, that 17th game. Seattle was the one that got added for Pittsburgh. I believe you play cross-conference. So any NFC team will play an AFC team, and vice versa. You're not going to play a team from within your own conference, if I'm correct on that. So, Seattle in Pittsburgh. DK, he's going to be a little bit of a problem. And here's also the problem, is that if this game was like week 16 instead of week 6, I'd probably pick Pittsburgh. But week 6, Russell's still making his case for MVP, and week 16 he's not. But in week 6 he's like that front runner for MVP, just like he was the past 2 years, and then he dipped off. So it's very close. This is another one of those where I think the defense could have a good game, at least as a pass rushing standpoint. God, I'm going to pick Seattle. So that brings the Steelers at their bye week 3-3. Alright, you're at Cleveland. Now, Cleveland, I'm not sure how good they're going to be this year. And actually, today it was announced that in principle, there's a verbal agreement, nothing signed, but there is an agreement between Nick Chubb and the Browns. It's a 3-year deal for $30-some-odd million. With like 20 mil guaranteed. Now, because it's a verbal, blah, 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 I mean, here's the issue with something like that. Training camp, preseason, if Chubb gets hurt, that's it. It's a verbal. The Browns can just, nope, you're hurt. We're not doing that right now. Or they're going to lower the, they could lower the value, which it would suck, but they're $1 billion, business versus the millionaire player. I hope they don't do that. I hope he doesn't get hurt. Because players, especially running backs, have a very short shelf life. And someone even said, you're kind of surprised that Chubb takes that kind of deal. Usually you want a running back wants 4 or 5, maybe even a 6-year deal for that long-term security. He's basically trying to get another deal when he's below 30. Because he'll be like 28 or 29 when that 3-year deal runs out. So he's literally just trying to get another contract, another running back contract, before he gets on the wrong side of 30. So, with that said, I don't know how they're going to be. I mean, a lot of people are overhyping the Jadeveon Clowney signing. I don't think Clowney's that good. I believe, at least in my opinion, he's overrated. So, and also, someone said this, that teams that have success in a season sometimes don't know what to do with it. Example, Jacksonville, 4 or 5 years ago? When they had Blake Bortles, they made it to the AFC Championship game, and Brady made the comeback versus them. They had that crazy defense that was carrying the team. It could, in theory, be a situation like that. Cleveland made it to the AFC Championship game, lost to Kansas City, and here you are. So, is it possible that they're not going to know what to do with that success? Because, I mean, I also don't think Baker's that good. And I was listening to The Herd, and they had, the tiers of quarterbacks. And I'm like, well, Big Ben is either going to be the bottom of tier 2 or the top of tier 3. He was the top of tier 3. He was like the second quarterback in tier 3. With, I think, Derek Carr being the top. The first guy in tier 3. And Baker was in that tier 3 as well. So, I mean, Kirk Cousins was in there as well. And that's kind of what he is. He's on that Kirk Cousins level. Baker. So, I know I spent 5 minutes talking about this. It's in Cleveland. It's hard to tell what the Browns are going to do. I think a couple of their moves were overrated. And that success last year, it's just going to get to their head a little bit. So I'm picking Pittsburgh. That puts Pittsburgh at 4-3. Chicago, I don't know if Fields is going to be playing at this point or if it's going to be Andy Dalton. So something like that can change it. As of right now, I mean, Khalil Mack could have a very good game against the Steelers' offensive line, unless if by the halfway of the season, you could have that cohesion on the offensive line. Also, I didn't think about this with Cleveland. It's just after the bye week. I don't know if Cleveland has that same bye week. If they don't, Pittsburgh could have, so I am going to go Pittsburgh with Cleveland. And right now, without knowing if it's Andy Dalton or Justin Fields, I am still going to take the Steelers. So that puts them at 5-3. Detroit, I'm going to this game, November 14th. I'm going to this game with my cousin. So if anyone watching, if you're going to go to that game too, let me know. Meet up, say hi. So November 14th, I will be at this game. I'm going to pick the Pittsburgh Steelers. So at this point, now the Steelers are 6-3. That's where it's going to change. They go to LA to face the Chargers. Melvin Ingram, who they recently signed, gets to play his old team. And this is going to be a loss for the Steelers. Herbert's going to light the Steelers up. So it's going to be 6-4. At Cincinnati, same story as the first one. They're just not on the same level. So at that point, you are 7-4. Baltimore at Pittsburgh. I'm going to give this one a win. So right now, you are 8-4. Then you go play Minnesota. At Minnesota. God. I'm going to give it to Minnesota. I'm going to give this one to Minnesota. You have a big game versus Baltimore, very emotional, and you drop the game versus Tennessee. So that puts you at 8-5, I believe. Tennessee. at Pittsburgh. Tennessee did trade for Julio Jones, so now you got Derrick Henry, Julio Jones, A.J. Brown. I believe Corey Davis is gone, but that offensive line is still really, really good. You know what? Derrick Henry's really hard to stop. Pittsburgh barely beat them last year. I mean, it took Gostkowski to miss that field goal. Otherwise, it's going to overtime, and Tennessee possibly wins that game. So I'm going to give it to Tennessee on this one. So that means the Steelers are now 8-6. Kansas City, they lost, okay? 8-7. Cleveland, here you are again. And I think Cleveland wants revenge here for before. I'm going to give the Cleveland Browns the win in Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh goes to Cleveland and wins. Cleveland goes to Pittsburgh and wins. So at this point, the Steelers are 8-8. Right? 8-8? I think so. And then you go at Baltimore. Now, I don't know how the season's going to go, obviously. Baltimore, really, really, really good defense. They did just sign Justin Houston this year, but he's going to fill a similar role to Melvin Ingram. He's going to be the rotational veteran, teach the younger guys, play, I don't know, maybe a third of the snaps, but you're probably going to play a quarter of the snaps, somewhere between a quarter and a third of the snaps on defense. Pretty much just as a rotational, let the starters get a break, blah, 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 blah. God, this is going to be close. I'm going to double check, make sure I have the record right. But I'm going to give this game to Baltimore. If I'm correct, that's 8-9. I'm going to edit to fast forward, and I'll actually count and make sure I am correct on that. Okay, so I do believe I have that right at 8-9. So that puts their last win with Baltimore coming to Pittsburgh. That puts them at 8-4. And then I believe I had lost to Minnesota, lost to Tennessee, lost to Kansas City, lost to Cleveland, and lost to Baltimore. So they kind of do similar to last year. It's, hey, you're 8-4. Last year they were 11-0, but you're 8-4, and then it's just kind of like a. Now at 8-9, that does put Pittsburgh at, or I guess Mike Tomlin, but they go hand in hand. The first losing season for Pittsburgh under the Mike Tomlin era. Because everything else has either been like 8-8 or 9 or more wins. Because 8-8, while it's not a winning season, it's not a losing season by all technicalities. 8-8 is just 500. You didn't have a winning season, you didn't have a losing season. So then if I'm right here, that's 8-9. I mean, it's hard to believe that, and here's also the thing, like that last game versus Baltimore, if Baltimore runs away with the division and the game doesn't matter, they're going to play their second stringers, and then Pittsburgh will probably have their first stringers, and that could easily then go 9-8. Or, I overestimate a team. Or I underestimate. The issue is we really don't know what's going to happen as of right now. I mean, heck, I don't even know who the starting slot corner is for Pittsburgh. No one really does. At least not yet. So, this is where I have it right now. I'm going to wait. So, and do another one before the season starts. So do not take any of what I said to heart. Like, literally, don't take any of it to heart. So, if you guys enjoyed this, please leave a like, new channel, please hit the subscribe button, and turn notifications on. Let me know how I did in the comments below. See you guys next video. Later.
Once I was 7 years old, Mama told me, go make yourself some friends or you'll be lonely.